everybody, my name is James Davies and welcome to Photo Chat Vlog on YouTube. I'm going to do something different in this video and I'm going to talk about when I was mugged in Barcelona. Now what does this have to do with photography? Well, my camera got stolen. More about that later, but just as a heads up, most of the photos you'll see in this episode were taken on my Sony Cybershot digital camera, which didn't get stolen. Anyway, the background to the tale is that I went to Barcelona for a holiday in April 2010. It was my 39th birthday, and the first one I spent alone after a long relationship had ended. My birthday and my ex-girlfriend's were only 8 days apart, so we often went travelling as a joint celebration, and I kind of wanted to keep that spirit of exploration going, even if I was going to be alone. So at New Year 2010, I'd recently done a trip to Berlin which had been quite fruitful for photography. And I'd never been to mainland Spain, so I figured I'd go to Barcelona, take a bunch of cameras, and if nothing else, I could snap some interesting pictures. I took the aforementioned little Sony Cybershot, a Vivitar ultra-wide and slim with slide film in it, and my Bicam, which is a homemade pinhole camera, which I will devote an episode of Photo Chat Vlog to in the future. So I booked a nice hotel, and I got a couple of guidebooks, and various friends had suggested stuff to see, and I sorted out an itinerary for myself. But the annoying thing was that more than one person had said, "Oh, if you go to Barcelona, you'll get mugged." And I was like, "Oh, well, okay, that's nice to hear as a solo traveller. What do you mean?" And everybody who said this just said something like, "Well, that's just how it is. You get mugged out there." And they would then proceed to tell me a tale of either how they or their mates were mugged in Barcelona. Now, I'd heard enough tales by this time to know I needed to avoid places like the Ramblas, which is a very touristy area where muggers and pickpockets work. And I'd also heard about confidence tricks like someone who spills coffee on you and wipes it off and steals your wallet at the same time. So as a seasoned traveller, I turned up in Barcelona prepared for this sort of thing. And when I went out on my adventures, I spread my valuables around my person and I left some things locked up as safely as they could be in the hotel. Meanwhile, I put all of my cameras in my rucksack, which was a bit inconvenient, but it meant I didn't look like I was obviously carrying around 3 cameras. So I flew in on a Friday night, and I spent the Saturday wandering around and doing touristy things. I remember visiting the Ramblas and getting targeted as a tourist, but I just breezed on through and I acted cool. After a while, I'd worked out my bearings and I was having fun visiting things like the Sagrada Familia, and of course taking pictures. My hotel was cool, and I also saw a really great Tapies exhibition, and I was digging Barcelona. Now I remember the Sunday was a really long day and I did a lot of walking right across the city and everything seemed to be working out okay. I had to keep swapping cameras in and out of my bag, but that was still alright as well. And at some point in the late afternoon I was down near a big lobster statue and I was ready to make my way back to my hotel, which was over on the Avinguda Diagonal, or Diagonal. I wanted to cut through a park called Ciutadella Park, but I got a bit lost and I ended up on the Avenue d'Icària, which was a big, boring dual carriageway. Now I wasn't in the back streets of some bad part of town, but I didn't really know where I was going, other than I knew which direction to go in to get back to my hotel. And this big wide road only went one way, which was mostly towards that. So I set off and I figured I'd get there anyway in some shape or form. Now being vigilant for muggers, I had been assessing all of the situations I had been in on the trip so far, and on more than one occasion I had thought, okay, is this going to be the moment something happens? Such as when I was down on the Ramblas and being hassled, or the few times when I found myself walking through a very non-touristy neighbourhood. But each time, nothing happened, and I didn't have a plan of action anyway, other than just trying to avoid silly situations. I was actually looking forward to getting back and telling people how smart I had been, and that I hadn't been mugged. So the Avenue d'Icària did not seem sketchy or troublesome in any way. It was just a big, boring, busy road. But just as I was passing around the back of the park, 3 lads walked past me, and they sort of checked me out, and one of them said to the others something like, "him." It was very much an instruction from one of the older lads to a younger one. Now I carried on walking, but one of them, a really skinny kid, ran up beside me and started asking me for a cigarette. And I thought, okay, well maybe this is it. So I said, "Look, I haven't got any cigarettes." And he quickly said, "Okay then, take my picture, man." And I was like, "I'm not going to take your picture." And he was really insistent, and he kept saying, "Come on, man, come on, take my photo. It's for my sister, come on, man." But I just kept walking, and I kept refusing. Now I will confess that earlier on, for the first time on the trip, I had foolishly put the Vivitar Ultra Wide and Slim in my front jeans pocket. Now if you're familiar with this camera, it is small, but it's big enough to stand out if you have it in the pocket of something like a pair of jeans. Evidently this kid had seen something in my pocket and he wanted me to take it out. And when I said I didn't have any cigarettes, well then I must have a camera, right? And it was clear that he wanted the camera and I wasn't going to give it to him. Nevertheless, he wouldn't go away. And he was calling me really weird names. He obviously couldn't speak very good English, but I figured he had me clocked as a tourist when he called me Norway. Anyway, he started grabbing at my bag and I was getting a bit worried by this time since I didn't know where I was going. And I also didn't know if he had a weapon or not, and I didn't want to find out. It was an interesting place to be hassled like this because we were out in the wide open of a great big road, but there were only cars passing by and no one else was near to see what was going on. Eventually, after more forced negotiation and pestering, he started trying to knock me over, and he just couldn't. He was too skinny and weedy, and I was nice and robust. But then he started grabbing at my pocket and trying to get his hands in to pull out the camera, and at that point I found myself getting cross, and I started shouting, "No!" In the end, he just delved into my pocket and yanked the camera out, and promptly fell over on his arse. He was really mad, and I was pretty mad too. If you can imagine having a camera pulled out of your jeans front pocket, this is a pretty intimate violation, and I was fuming. He looked furious and shouted, "F*** you, man!" And I was equally as mad, and I shouted, "F*** you," right back. Before I knew it, he had just leapt up and ran off, leaving me standing there, wondering what was going to happen next. Well, what happened next was, I just kept on walking. He was legging it back towards his mates in the direction of the park, and I wasn't about to try and catch him. He'd got my Vivitar ultra-wide and slim, and he was going to be disappointed, because it wasn't an expensive digital camera, and he wasn't a film-shooting hipster. I don't know if he was taking part in some sort of initiation ceremony as a mugger, but his booty was going to be useless. This was a plastic toy camera with film in it, not a €300 digital thing. Now the frustration for me, of course, was twofold. One, I'd been mugged, and the other was that he didn't only have my camera, he had my photos. My undeveloped photos that I'd gone all the way to Barcelona to take. All I could do was just get to the next place, which was my hotel, so I continued walking. Now in the distance, I could see another 3 people coming towards me, but it turns out that these 3 were British, like me, and they were lost, and they were studying a map. So I kind of broke the shock of what had happened with them by explaining what had happened to me. I just said, "You have to put that map away," and they were like, "Why?" And I said, something like, "Can you see in the distance that guy running away? Well, he just stole my camera. And you look like tourists walking about with a map like that, and you are going to get mugged too." Talking to them made me feel a little bit better about things. They asked if I was okay, and I was. I just explained that it was annoying my camera was gone, and I was off back to my hotel. So I did continue walking, but actually as soon as I got to a big junction, I actually hailed a cab. I was tired and a bit upset, and I wanted to get out of where I was basically lost as quickly as I could. I'd been walking in the direction these guys had come from, and they could have called their mates and said, "Watch out for the tourist coming your way who looks like he's coming from Norway. We reckon he's got worth nicking." And I was not in the mood for another altercation. But once I was back in the hotel, I realised I'd actually finally had my proper day in Barcelona. I'd seen architecture, I'd been out walking, I'd been to galleries and exhibitions, and I'd been mugged, just like everybody said I would. Enough people had mentioned it to warrant me ticking it off the list of things to do as much as seeing Gaudi. This made me feel strangely relaxed about the whole thing, and I realised lightning was unlikely to strike twice. So I went to the gym in the hotel, and later on I went out for dinner rather than hide in my hotel room all evening. And I still had another day in Barcelona, so I went to Parc Güell. But I also decided that if I did look like a tourist and was going to be a target, then I'd give them what they wanted. So I bought my first ever and only packet of cigarettes, and if someone tried to engage with me that way, well, they could have a ciggy and f*** off. So, as you'll know if you've listened to any of my other photo chat vlogs, I'm not a professional photographer. I go to photogenic locations like big cities, but you can actually get photographic possibilities anywhere in the world, and I don't really have a special list of places I have to go and visit. But in terms of making travelling nice for me, well, having a camera makes it fun. The camera gives you a reason to be where you are and to think about what you're looking at in the moments that you're spending there, and the subsequent photographs reward you later on with a spur to reflection from where you have been. So I like travelling with a camera, but there's an irony, in Barcelona at least, because having the camera with me is what caused me to get mugged. It was a question of risk, of course. I was travelling to a city where it was well understood I would get mugged. But did going there to take photographs mean I increased my chances of being mugged? I guess I will not know. In the grand scheme of things, it's a hassle to lose a camera whilst travelling, but it's a bigger hassle to lose your credit card, or a wallet, or a whole bag with everything in it. You do have to take chances whilst travelling, whether that's getting mugged or searching for a good restaurant. And getting my camera nicked actually made me more defiant in terms of enjoying the rest of the holiday, and I threw the ciggies away in the airport. So all told, I would still recommend Barcelona as a holiday destination. I recommend you be wary of muggers, and that you carry your cameras with care and discretion. I also don't condone smoking, but maybe a packet of cigarettes will placate someone who feels like taking advantage of you. As ever, if you like what you've seen and heard, feel free to leave me a comment. I always appreciate it when people do that. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of these things, and I will catch up with you in the next episode of Photo Chat Vlog.